Hi guys, Tiffany here. Welcome to my quilting life. We are at the entrance to my home in the little what I hate the most about my home. The entryway is like this little tiny cubicle. Seriously. So when you walk into my home, this is the cubicle once you close the front door. Anyway, so today's video is about how much space do you really need to purchase a long arm? You're thinking about it, right? You really want a long arm, you really want to take the plunge, and you want to start enjoying quilting and make things a lot easier, because it does make it a lot easier. You want to make things easier for yourself. So the long arm is the way to go. I can tell you right now, long arms come in 4 foot, 5 foot, to 8 foot, 10 foot, 10 foot with 2 foot extensions, 12 foot, and 14 foot frames. So how much space do you need to put that long arm? So what size frame do you need? We're going to go with mine. I have a 12 foot frame. How much space do you need for a 12 foot frame? How much space do you need for anything? Well, a 12 foot frame does not fit in an average typical home size bedroom. So I'm going to show you where my long arm went from being in an enormous garage to now being the center of attention in my living room. So let's take a look and look at the layout and see how I have things set up, and then we'll go from there. You just walked in my front door. The first thing you really see is Scott's bed. Don't mind the mess. The second thing you would see if you turned your head is the second couch, and then the DVD player stand and a TV. And then if you pan around the other way through the living room, you would see my little rocking chair, and you would see the dining room. Don't mind the mess. But what you really see is the long arm. So seriously, this is me by the front door. This is what you see. So here's the layout. Couch this way, TV stand that way. Couch this way, right here, chair and everything, and little coffee table-y type thing, and kitchen table over that way. But what is taking up the most of the space? My 12-foot frame. So I have a King Quilter 2 Elite Special Edition. It is an 18-inch throat space. And when I say 18 inches, that is from this needle to this back portion right here. So that is my 18 inches. When I say 12-foot frame, that is technically from here to way over here. Notice I did not point at the ends, because this is a whole nother space in itself, the end of all this. So you gotta 100% think about that for a second, because that is a lot of space. How wide is this? This right here is 3.5 feet. That's a lot of space. So how much space do you need? So the lighting right here is kind of bright and it was shining, so I just turned it off for video's sake. So my arm span is 12 feet. Look at that. No, it really is not. This is just the wide angle view. And I want to be able to explain to you how this is going to work. How much space do you need for a 12-foot frame? The best I can possibly, for my personal working needs, is I need at least 15 feet on a 12-foot frame. That's right. You're like, 15 feet, but the frame is only 12. You have to walk around. Duh. So you need to be able to have space to get around. I chose, since we came into the living room, and now I'm going to have to speak a little bit louder, to be able to walk in from the right side of the machine so that I can get into the back of the machine. So here I am, back here in the back. I have plenty of walk space until I'm at the machine. What do I mean by that? And it's just me filming here, so obviously I have to stop and start. What do I mean by all that space? So I need at least 15 feet of a room. The next thing I need is at least, for my machine, 6 feet of width. Why do you ask? Because there's 3.5 feet, almost 4. It's almost 4 feet actually, just in the machine width itself. That is not including when the machine is pushed all the way to its furthest back mode to quilt on the top part of the quilt, not just the bottom, but to be able to get the full width of your quilting. So you need at least 15 by 6 feet. But then you're thinking, well, where is the rest of my crafting stuff supposed to go in this wonderful room that we are putting our expensive longarm in? Well, that's another story. I am lucky enough to have a spare bedroom in my house for that. But this longarm would have never fit in there. Why? Because I'm going to say most American household bedrooms in an actual just regular home are 8 by 10, 9 by 10, 10 by 11, and 10 by 12 feet. That is an average typical bedroom size for an average typical American home. Well, you don't live in an average typical American home. So you have my master bedroom size, 17 feet long by 12 foot wide. Not big enough because it's not exactly 12 foot. It's like 11.59. So this would have never fit in its width, but in its length, it would have. And trust me, we thought about it, but I didn't want to lose my master bathroom. So we thought about tearing walls down. But you know how much work and how expensive purchasing this and then tearing walls down to create even bigger spaces? It's just not going to work. So you have a she shed. Your she shed is 16 by 20. Perfect. Then you can put everything out there and have all of it in one space. But you don't have that. You have a basement. Well, make sure your basement, because some basements I've seen in America are separated by bedrooms. So just make sure that the room that you're building down in your basement has plenty of room. Or you have an attic. Make sure your room, because some attics go like this and then flat. Make sure you have height, width, or length and width. You know what I mean? You need all that space. So why do you need all that space? And I'm going to show you right now. For me to be comfortable getting around right here on the front side to the back of my machine, you need to think about the space that you need that suits your needs. I can walk back here until I get to the machine, like I said. So we're going to bring this machine over here, just for examples. You want a pantograph or groovy boards, or you want to use your laser to follow designs. Most of the time, that's done from the back of the machine, but they can mount the laser to the front of the machine, and you can put a piece of paper next to your quilting area and follow it that way. But the most average way is from the back side. The first thing I do from the back side is I load the frame. I load my quilt from the back and from the front. I also wind my bobbins back over in that corner, which I'll show you in a minute. I wind my bobbins, and I have been doing it this whole entire time from that back corner. I also have on the front side a table, or a little drawer system that holds all my things. That used to be on this side when this was in the garage, but now it's on that farther side, which kind of makes sense because I'm in the living room. So why do you need all that space? Well, you need to get around it. But you also need this not to hit the wall. So I have a good about 11 inches from the end of this to the wall. But now I'm quilting a nice straight line from here to there. What is in my way? I can't walk back here. So I can't quilt from back here unless I'm uncomfortable and sucking in my gut and going, oh, okay. Or standing on the side and doing this. That's the most comfortable way to do it. But I don't plan to do pantographs. I don't do them, so I don't have no plans for any of that. But I do need the space back here. So again, make sure you have plenty of room back here. So I've just added another foot. So here we have 3.5 feet. I just added 4.5 feet of space because I need another foot. But then you got to think of the space to walk nicely back here. So I'm going to add another foot to that. There was my whole total 6 feet of space that I need. So now, once that's moved forward, you can see I can get back here all the way, do what I need to do back here, come back to this side. If I can watch out for my wires, we still haven't figured that part out, is where to put the wires. Because if you see, down there on the floor are the cords. Those things are, you're really gonna have to figure those out on your own, where to plug things in so you're not tripping over things. Because the wires to the cord, or the cords to the long arm itself, they need to be movable. It needs to be able to run along the whole entire length freely. You don't want it to get caught or you're going to have problems with your quilting. So let's take you further on down. We are now in my back corner workspace. So this is where I wind my bobbins, keep all my bobbins, and obviously when I load a frame, oh, it's not connected, but it runs down, around, up, and over. I do have lighting back here so I can see what I'm doing. Lighting is very important, but not while I'm recording. So make sure that you choose a designated spot. You don't even have to have them on the tray, but for convenience, for me, having them on this back table, which is wasted space, is convenient as long as everything is lower than the machine. So if I bring the machine over here, you can see, oops, it hit this, which is in the wrong place. It comes to here. So I have, I don't know, a little bit of space right here. Well, I can go further. I can go further. So there we have it. I have about a little over a foot right here of space. So I can still quilt. But if I'm doing something super large, then I'll just move this stuff out of the way because I do have my little drawer unit, which we'll get to storage in a second. So you've bought your long arm. You've set your long arm up. What about all that space? That's a lot of empty, wasted space. Well, I can tell you right now, lots of quilters get very creative with their undersides of their long arms. So they sell, like, I've seen IKEA units that fit like perfectly. I, on the other hand, am not going to utilize too much of this space because I don't want my quilty room exploding out here. I kind of just want this area to be long arm quilting only. So I'm going to kind of just leave that area for my thread tubs, because I have thread tubs under there, 2 of them. And then my little drawer unit right here that has all the tools and everything needed for the long arm and needles and so on and so forth. So I'm just going to utilize that for that. These machines, most frames have a bar. This is batting by the roll. When I was outside, all I had was tons of dust, so I kept the batting rolls covered in sheets. I'm in the house now, and I have dust and a kitty cat. So to prevent my kitty cat from getting his hair woven or him trying to unravel all this, I'm going to keep them covered in sheets. So that is definitely a good thing if you have animals or pets and you want to utilize the bar that comes on the frame for your batting rolls. And this whole entire piece on my 12-foot frame fits 3, oops, I have no 3 fingers there, 3 rolls from edge to edge. But the bar, this bar on this machine isn't that sturdy. It's kind of wobbly. So just make sure your more heavier batting rolls, like cotton batting, are on the outer sides and maybe your polyester in the middle. Any other batting I will store out in the garage and just bring in the amount that I need when I need it. But they do make all sorts of units that you can put on the front side if you don't want to use the pole. They also have room on the back side. So if you are thinking about using every amount of space possible, you also need to take that space into consideration. So you want to store back there. On the back side, not only do you need your room to walk, but you need your room to get into your drawers and So if you're on the back side, you need room to pull your drawers out. You need room to stack things. You need the space. So for a 12-foot frame, ideally, a 16 by 20 foot space to have 100% everything you need quilting related. If you're like me and the long arm is in one area and your quilting space is another, then ideally I need 15 feet of length, 6 feet of width. That is my ideal space for a 12-foot frame. It would be the same with a 10. With a 10-foot, I would just go down a number for my personal needs, because my previous frame was a 10-foot. So for your personal needs, take that into consideration. How much space do you need to walk around? Do you want to walk around on both sides? Or are you just entering from one side? Are you using the back side? Are you using the back and the front? Are you on casters, which are the rollers to roll your frame and stop it, pull it out from the wall when you need it, push it back when you're not using it? Think about all those things that you are going to be using and utilizing. Are you going to be using the space under the machine? All of that. There are also light kits. Here's another thing, height. How much height do you need? Well, first of all, your long arm should be set, here's your belly bar, it should be set right under your breastbone directly. Mine is just a little bit shorter, but it's just my comfort. But it technically should be right under your breastbone, men and women. So that's how tall it needs to sit. The taller it sits, the higher your light bars that come with your frames are going to need to be. I did not personally get a light bar from my machine. I just use a lamp, which I'll show it turned on in a second. It kind of blinds you because it's a daylight bulb. But there is a light bar system that goes from one side up over into the other. How tall is your room? Average American home, 8-foot ceilings. Tiffy home, vaulted ceilings. So if I, in the future, needed a light bar, I have plenty of height for that. Again, I'm short, so my machine and the frame is shorter. But if I was taller, this is going to come up, light bar, going to come up even higher. But you don't want the top of your machine to hit your lights. That's not much distance. There's about a foot right there. Most of those light bars are about a foot above the height of the top of your machine. So you got to think, okay, so height. Lofted she sheds. They're not very tall. I think they are only like 8 foot tall, 7 or 8 foot tall. And then the ones without the lofts that have the big, huge vaulted ceilings, there's your plenty of space. But if you're in an attic and you have a pitched ceiling, you definitely need to have that away from a wall because it's going to hit, the arc of your attic. If you're in a basement, basements are usually 8 foot tall or 7 foot tall. There have been full height basements I've seen in pictures, across the US, but basements are typically 7 or 8 foot tall. Again, it's the size of a household bedroom of any American household. So you need to think how tall so that you can have your lighting. If you don't need the additional lighting, like me, I didn't need it, then you don't have to worry about that because nothing is going to impede on the ceiling. Trying to think of what else. Again, it takes up all that space for a 12-foot frame. I've lost most of the living room from this chair right here. This is in the way of the TV. See? It's a good thing nobody sits right there. Not to watch TV at least, but you need to make sure that you have plenty of space. Again, before you purchase your long arm, measure your whole entire home. If you're thinking about your living room, measure your width, your length, measure your furniture. Where's this going to sit? Where's that going to sit? Is your living room going to be the whole entire quilty room, or is it just going to be the long arm, like me? Is a bedroom? Do you have a bedroom? Are you going to take over your master? Make sure your length and width is what you need. Is it just a guest bedroom in your house? Again, buy the long arm frame size that you want for what you know you're quilting. I quilt king quilts. I need 12 foot. You only quilt queen size. you need 10 foot. So make sure that the size you purchase is for your needs, not just your bedroom needs. If you always do 10 foot, always do queen size quilts, you need that 10-foot frame. You need a 10-foot, you need more than 10-foot area. You need like a 13, 14-foot area. So don't just purchase because of your only space in the bedroom, because then you're going to get frustrated in the future like I did and want to go bigger. So, because this is my second frame. This is 12, my old one was 10. So think about that. But when you want to purchase it, the main thing, measure your home. If you're only in a garage, you're only in a she shed, you're only in an attic, you're only in a basement, or you're only in a spare room, measure them. Measure the furniture that's going to go around this. Take in consideration 1 foot on this side, 1 foot on that side, only 2 foot on that side, only 3 foot on this side, 3 feet of space in the back, 1 feet of space in the back. Are you going to be moving it? Think about all those things before you purchase a long arm and place it into your home for personal use. So again, this is where it is now. You can see the layout of the land. So final note is make it work for you. Purchase what works for you. Make sure you have the space that works for you, and set it up and get to work. So I'm Tiffany. Thank you for hanging out, and I will see you in my next video. Thank you. Bye.